Welcome to another episode of On Location with Industry Giants. I'm Joe Scacciaferro. Okay, this week we got a great one. We got a guitar player, we got an audio engineer, we got a friend of mine. He's young, but he's got a lot of talent behind him. So welcome Jack Garno. Come on.
Joe, how are you? It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much for inviting me on to your show.
My pleasure. My pleasure. You're a great guy. You're one of the few polished professionals in the business.
Oh,
so
gosh,
I enjoy that. So let's jump right in. So your career began playing guitar, playing music, going to college. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, essentially going to college, getting into recording technology with GarageBand. I mean, it's amazing what we have, the technology nowadays. You know, you could just plug a 1/8 inch into your computer in GarageBand and record. So I was very, interested in it. And so I pursued music production and recording arts at Elon University in North Carolina. So I was there for 4 years, from 2012 to 2016. And during the time I was there, I was lucky enough to be there when they were developing a whole new studio. It was, I think it was 2 control rooms and 2 live rooms. And I know a lot. Me and my friends there, we took advantage of it, and we certainly did. And we did a lot of cool stuff, extracurricular stuff. I'm sure many of your listeners and viewers are familiar with the band Snarky Puppy. Mm-hmm. We tried to do our own little Snarky Puppy instrumental jazz thing, and I remember my whole senior year was dedicated to writing and recording a video and a multi-tracked audio recording of an album we wrote. And then I did a lot of off-campus stuff with a great singer-songwriter by the name of Frank Hurd, he's still based in Nashville now, and some other friends. While they were in North Carolina, we would. 2 of them had already graduated from Elon, and then another, the drummer, Jake, was still at Elon at the time. But we'd go off campus. We'd get away from campus and go to Raleigh, Durham, Charlotte, Greensboro, out of state even, just playing. So, like you said, I'm a guitar player. I'm a guitar player at heart. That's how I started. My dad, I guess, when I was a year old, I gravitated towards the guitar because my dad played, and he still plays a little bit when he can, and I gravitated towards that. So I was lucky enough to have lessons, classical lessons growing up. I was lucky enough to have classical teaching growing up, but then I went more into the route of learning things by ear, as many do, Mm-hmm. So fast forward out of college, I get my music production degree, music production recording arts degree, and so I mean that's how I got into it. And so now I was freelancing for about 3 years, doing a lot of teaching too, So freelancing, guitar recording, whether it was remote or in studio. Some music production stuff with a couple bands, but mostly teaching. But now I'm very blessed to have a full-time production gig, which it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to get into that. You also you're blending back and forth between guitar playing lessons. Are your lessons teaching engineering? Are you? So I know the difference. I mean, I know what your qualifications. I know what your background is. But you're talking, when you're saying lessons, you're talking about music, guitar playing.
Yeah, I taught at School of Rock for a little while. I taught bass and guitar and at the Chatham School of Rock in New Jersey. Great. And man, some of the kids there, killer players, man. Unbelievable. I had to keep my chops up. You know, I like to say that, yeah, I was teaching guitar and bass there, and I was leading some of the shows. You know, they'd have seasonal shows 3 times a year where, you know, we do like White Stripes versus, Pearl Jam or something like that, or Zeppelin, Zeppelin show or Y2K show. And I really believe that the brunt of the stuff, my development, at least on the instrument, guitar especially, came from just having to teach. You know, they always say, right, that there's the famous saying that, you know, when you teach, that's when you really learn, because you figure out what you don't know, and then you gotta learn what you don't know.
You got to explain it, and when you have to explain it to make sense, that's when you start registering. Oh, that's why I do that. Oh, that's when this happens. Yeah. I got it. And by the way, you were my instructor for a little while. You are very good. I mean, I've obviously been around with a lot of people. You are very good. Your demeanor, which is what I started this with. You have just a perfect demeanor to move people along. So I want to jump back a little bit. Let's go back to the engineering side of this. I was going to qualify when you were saying 2 control rooms and a studio, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. We got a lot of television veterans here who, when you say control room and studio, they have a whole different picture of that. So we're talking recording, music recording studios and their associated control rooms.
Yeah.
What? In the control room, engineering is part of it, producing is part of it, setup is part of it, knowing mic placement, going through all of that. There's a lot involved. It's not just you walk in and you play. Just walk people through in a studio, what really has to happen before a session can even begin.
Yeah, well, I think just as in any business, you need to surround yourself with the best people, and the people who know, they're professionals and they know what they're doing. And even if you have like for myself, I could play, I could engineer, I could set up the mics, I could, write the songs and stuff, but it was really the team effort that made that possible. So, I mean, when we say music production, there's so much that goes into that.
Let's go right back to, you walk in the door, the studio's dark, and you got a session coming in an hour. Right. What's everybody start doing? What is the kickoff? Okay, here we go. This is what we do.
You got to set up mics, right? You got to set up mics. You got to create an input list. The drums are going to be in this kick, snare, toms, overheads, room mics. Running cables, getting levels on the preamps. Hoping that the band comes prepared with some
never
good material.
It's a good hope, but it's never going to happen.
Yeah. And I mean, I've done some sessions recently at Sound on Sound in Montclair with Dave and Tony over there. Great to work with them. I mean, a lot of pre-production goes into that. The business I'm with now, we went over there to track a small orchestra session, small gospel choir session, and that since I direct the music at the business I'm at now, I set up the Pro Tools templates, so I get all the stems ready, the vocals, the drums, the guitars, the bass, etc. Shoot those over to Dave at SOS, and him and his team get that set up after I do my pre-production. So I'm sure there's details of the pre-production I'm missing, but
let me take you back. I'm gonna walk you through this step by step because I actually have some experience doing this. So
yeah.
Let's start with the simple word that people say. I set up mics. What you have to choose the mic, right? You have to decide, okay, this mic has to be used for this, and then you have to say where to put the mic. When you say mic a drum kit, where? Well, you're going to mic a piano. The placement of all those things are really critical. So a lot of the best engineers I know spend more time in the studio than they actually do tracking.
Yeah.
So where did you learn that art from? How did you come up with that? Was that a school thing? Did they actually do it, or has it been trial and error for you?
It's been it's been trial and error. It's been a school thing. I mean, people have different philosophies on how to set up mics, and like how to set up the polar patterns. Like should it be an omni, for a whole orchestra, or this or that. But yeah, it's definitely been a lot of trial and error, and again, working with great engineers. I would say I'm more on the tracking, just kind of being in the control room and mixing side of things. I can put a mic in front of a kick drum, but I know 5 other guys who could come up with something cool, and I'll contact them and outsource to them for mic placement, mic choice, so my focus is more mixing and writing and producing, getting samples. A lot of people are using sampled sounds now, like Splice is an amazing resource. Oh my gosh. But yeah, it's trial and error, and it's schooling.
You know what? You said something way in the beginning of this that I should have jumped in, but I waited it out. GarageBand. Let me tell you something. People tell me all the time, I need a Neve console to do this, and I need these preamps to do that, and I'm like, if you look at my studio is old analog stuff. Yeah. I have the resources and access to get whatever I want. Right. I love certain gear. I'm very comfortable with it. I love my particular amplifiers. So when you said GarageBand, that's put something in your hands at an age that I couldn't even dream. I didn't even know what recording was when I started out. I mean, we were live. Everybody just went out and played live. To record your band in your basement was unheard of.
You needed to be on a label, right? You needed the advance.
Yeah,
right.
That was your chase. You couldn't walk.
And then
go ahead.
And then you had to pay that advance back.
And then you go into television because you realize you can't make any money in music.
Yeah. It's a tough industry, but the technology now, even before sort of this virtual remote collaboration. I mean, it was amazing, in the early 2000s, late, around 2010, and now it's unbelievable. The things you could do with GarageBand. I've heard people's music productions from GarageBand that are they sound better than mine in Logic.
This episode of On Location was brought to you by Apple and the GarageBand.
Yeah. Well, there's that Reason, Pro Tools. I'm
busted. Yeah, I'm a diehard Apple. I've been branded Apple since the day it started. I mean, I've seen people on a subway. I mean, like you said, going back way before 2020. I'm going back into those. I'll go all the way back to the early 20. I've seen people on a subway knocking out mixes, taking beats, dropping things on their laptop. Yeah. And when it's done, it's great.
Oh yeah. It's 100%.
Let's talk about another part of it, which you may have not had an opportunity to be involved in, and it kind of has been pushed aside. And these guys were phenomenal artists, were engineers who mastered. So it was one thing to be able to track and mix, but then the whole value of your product was when it got mastered.
Yeah. And it's a lot of people say it's like a black art, right? It's very mysterious. And I've been lucky enough to work with a guy who is he masters a lot of Christian stuff, and I've been able to ask him some questions and whatnot, and also the mixes I've sent to him. I'll get the master back, and I'll try and beat the master. And and I can't really, it's mastering. I guess back when you were talking about it was a lot different. You had to get it. It was really for getting it on vinyl, right? And whatever sort of distributive platform that was required. But now it's about getting it hot, getting it hot. But there's still something to be said for that, because I mean, people are saying the loudness wars are over, but at the same time, Spotify, you can turn off the normalization feature, and so you have a CD master level on Spotify. So that's why mastering engineers, I was told, they still master at a hot level. So they're professionals for a reason, and you can. It's one more set of ears on your mix, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's one more set of ears. But I'm sure you could definitely explain more what was going on when it was about getting it on vinyl, because that's probably
and it
a
was
little more complicated.
it was that it's the distribution. And I want to just back up just for hair. Indulge me for a minute, because there's a lot of our listeners and our viewers don't know anything about music recording. So let me just give them a quick step-by-step. Artists come in, musicians come in, they plug in, or they're mic'd, as we talked about. That goes to a console, which in television is a switcher. So I take everything and just kind of reverse it. So instead of having cameras capturing, you've got musicians playing. That music hits a mixer or a switcher in television. Those things all blend down to a single stereo mix, or in television, your program out. But then you have all those colorizations that can happen. You can bring it in television, it's post-production. You bring everything in the ISOs, and then you go to post, and then you can add colors. You can add this. Film is the same way. I mean, when you really break our arts down, the creative arts, they're the same if you can kind of keep your head to, oh, that's that, and this is that, and that's that. It's literally why I've been able to jump from so many different sectors of an industry, because to me, it's all the same. As long as I can translate it, it comes down to the same. That doesn't mean I am good at any one of those things.
Yeah.
It just means I have an intuitive sense of all of it.
Yeah, it's almost like the Romance languages, the Latin roots.
Woo!
It's like you got to learn another language, but there are a lot of similarities there.
That was great. What a great! I love analogies, and I'm stealing that one. I am absolutely stealing that. That's perfect. So let's talk about Jack in current day. You're working at Array of Hope. It's a phenomenal production house.
Yes.
It has its very unique focus. Talk a little bit about Array of Hope. Just give me a general sense of the company, and then let's talk about what your contribution there is.
Absolutely. So the company as a whole, it's a nonprofit lay apostolate Christian ministry. So we seek to evangelize the Christian faith to our world, and to collaborate with other churches across the country, parishes, dioceses, whoever we discern that we need to reach out to, and whoever's contacting us for help, that's where we come in. And so we specialize in music production, Christian music production, Christian events and concerts, podcasts. We recently started a podcast about a year and a half ago, and video productions, as well as this past year. Of course, with COVID and our new virtual world, essentially, we developed a virtual live event that is fully. It's actually an app now. We have a Ray of Hope app. You can find it on the App Store, Roku, Apple TV, a desktop browser, Android. So we stream our events, right? It could be a prayer session, right? It could be a concert, a live concert from our studio. We do a lot of those live concert family events, family concert retreats, where those include videos pertaining to the faith and teaching and catechism, and then there's a music video that plays, and then we have witnesses. I mean, witness is a very, it's one of the most important forms of evangelization. It's like, here's me, here's my story, this is what I went through before, my faith, or even after my faith, like when I left my faith, right? And then all of a sudden, I find myself back within my faith because I had a conversion or a reversion, and this is what happened to me, and look at what God can do in your life, if you only, give your life to Him. So the witnesses are very powerful. We do those in the retreats. So we're looking to serve the church in any way we can, especially because a lot of the churches within our realm, they're not very technically advanced, let's say. So, and although the pandemic has definitely sort of helped churches get kind of a move on there, they're doing virtual live streams now for services and masses, right? There's still a need for inspiration, and so that's where we come in is to try and inspire and plant seeds of grace. Essentially, is the common language, right? Plant seeds of grace for people to be awakened, to awaken hearts. Essentially,
Awesome.
Yeah.
And this is all everything, because you if I pull it apart and just listen to the production side of it, you're doing video production, you're doing music production. You're doing live event production, which is a whole other animal, and then you're pulling together almost doc style storylines in the video production, and all of that comes. It's all homegrown, correct? And you guys have it's not a huge outfit of production people.
The production team is pretty conservative, and but we do outsource for marketing and graphics occasionally, but we have a couple guys editing videos, and it's me doing the audio editing for the most part in the music production, and of course we have a band as well, so we the people in the band are involved in the writing and the production and the live production, the live music production. My good buddy Jimmy, who's been with the company for 10 plus years, way longer than I have. I've been with them since about 2018, 2019. I wouldn't be able to do it without him. I mean, he's just great. He knows I couldn't do it without Jimmy.
Okay, so here's my question to you. All of what you're involved in, all of what you've touched, all of where you're going, you said something about you're still a guitar player. Which side of that, if you had to choose, do you think is more expressive for you? Engineering an incredible session, of something you feel passionate about, and you're pulling that whole thing together, or playing something that you've written and you're contributing musically to?
That's a phenomenal question, and it's something I've definitely thought about so much. I mean, life is a series of peaks and troughs, right? Just like a sound wave, right?
Yeah.
I really do think that it depends on kind of where I'm at in my mindset on a given day, because I'll take breaks, Joe. I'll be working hard on a couple mixes, and I won't play guitar for like a week, and it's like, oh my gosh, and then I get back to the guitar, and it's like, wow, I forgot how expressive this could be. It really does depend, I think, because with the guitar, if I'm just playing by myself, it's just me. I know you can play with a band, and that's even better because you're communicating with other people through music. It's just another language, right? But with production and music, producing songs and mixing, collaborating in that way, it's just such a different medium, It's, and especially in terms of the quality of the music today, it's so kind of perfectionist in a way. I tend to be a perfectionist at times. and some of my perfectionism is geared towards that studio, crunching the numbers and getting really nitty gritty about, the fine details. And yeah, I wish I could give you a solid answer, but it depends on the day. It depends on the week, depends on the month.
I got to tell you, that was sort of that wasn't a trick question, but it was sort of a way of me identifying the fact that you absolutely have a artist's heart. Because a true creative artist could never, ever answer that question.
Yeah. The creatives like change. The creatives.
Yeah, and it's expressive no matter what. You're making coffee in the morning or you're, playing the garden. You just approach it differently than the non-creatives would. So yeah, that was definitely a solid answer. I'm looking at my clock. I got a little bit of time left. So I do want to touch on two things. So I'm gonna stretch my time. So keep it tight.
Yeah,
what
sure.
would you say your aspirations are over the next, I don't know, course of 5, 10? Where do you really want to excel and challenge yourself to be?
Definitely as an audio engineer. Music and music production plays into that, but not only music production. I audio for film. I'm producing podcasts, editing podcasts. So that's another form. But I would love to get into film mixing. Especially this new Dolby Atmos stuff. Gosh, that sounds cool. I just saw Dune in theaters at the Cinemax. Woo!
Yeah,
that's crazy, man. That movie was made for Dolby Atmos.
Yeah.
Crazy.
No, that's great. That part of it's great. So last question. So somebody coming into the business and asking you get the magical question. I want to get in. I want to be part of what's going on. I always wanted to be part of music production, and I have all these interests. What do you suggest they do or should be doing while they're trying to pursue that goal?
I mean, always be on top of the technology. Definitely have a goal. You got to always have a goal. And write down those goals. It could be a month goal. A goal is 3 months from now, 6 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. Have a goal. And that might change as you go along, but if you're still thinking you're going for the creative path, just be on top of the technologies. Always be learning. Always be surrounding yourself with people that are better than you. At what you do, because what's the saying? You're the sum of the 5 people you hang around with the most. And be humble. Be willing to learn. Be willing to see creative approaches from a different person's point of view, because I mean it's an art and a science,
Wow.
and music and film too. It's an art and a science, and I think if you go too far in one direction, you might lose your audience, because if it's too much of an art, it might not sound that good. Let's say if we're talking about music. But then if it's too much of a science, it might not speak to the soul as much, right? So it's that constant balance of objectivity and subjectivity. So I hope that's a
Dude, I told you were really special. I said it when I started. I knew it. And you have come up with some of the best sound bites I could possibly use.
Joe,
Your little soliloquy at the end there was just beautiful. Jack, I got to jump. Thank you so much. Much appreciate your time. Much appreciate your brilliance and your spirit. Be well. God bless. Talk soon.
Thanks, Joe. It's a pleasure and an honor. Peace, man.